Oil Company. Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars to broadcast number 81 regarding the operation of a hot bond mob operating in Los Angeles. This gang is believed to be unloading for Pretty Boy Floyd. Lefty James is handling the investigation. That is all. Bird.
It is a holiday for Officers Erickson and Donahue. Out of uniform and in plain clothes, they are headed for the mountains in Donahue's own car.
Better fill up with gasoline now, Don. There's a cut-price station right ahead.
No, not me. I'm going to drive into a Rio Grande station.
Gosh, you're not driving a city police car now. You don't have to use cracked gasoline.
Say, you couldn't hire me to use any other kind, even in this old bus of mine. I've had too many sad experiences with cheap gasoline.
Well, to save 2 cents a gallon, I'd use any gasoline.
Well, that's what I used to think. But when the city switched to Rio Grande cracked for all police cars, well, I could certainly feel the difference in the police car I was driving. Stopped vibrating. It was a real pleasure to step on the throttle and shoot up hills without shifting. It changed all my ideas about gasoline.
Well, you can have the thrills. I'm thinking about the expense.
Well, me too, but I've seen the records down at the city hall. Figures that prove we actually get more mileage with Rio Grande cracked gasoline. And cheaper miles.
What do you mean, cheaper miles?
It's a fact, Eric. Those cheap gasolines leave too much carbon. They don't burn properly. Too much goes to waste. Now, that cracking process of Rio Grande's does something because, well, there's no waste. It all turns into power. And there's no carbon coming up your engine.
So you figure it's cheaper to use Rio Grande cracked in your own car than to buy a cheaper gasoline. Is that it?
Listen, Eric, those chemists at the city hall are smart babies.
Yeah, I know
They've
that.
tested all the gasolines, and they're buying Rio Grande cracked for all the city cars because they know it's the best buy on the market. And that goes for a lot of other cities, too. Why, do you suppose Oakland and Berkeley, Merced, Fresno, Los Angeles, and many cities and counties in Arizona would specify Rio Grande cracked unless they knew they were getting more for their money?
No, maybe you're right, Don.
Well, there's no maybe about it. I'm banking on the city records. I know Rio Grande cracked is the best and cheapest gasoline I can buy.
Now it is our pleasure to present Captain C.B. Harlow, head of the Speed Squad of the Los Angeles Police Department. Captain Harlow.
Good evening, friends. You have often heard us plead the case of closer cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies. This is no idle preachment. The Los Angeles Police Department practices it. And now, since the federal government has begun its drive on racketeers, kidnappers, and bank robbers, it has become an increasingly pleasant duty to cooperate with G-men in their work of stamping out the gangsters. So quiet and unostentatious was the investigation we are about to dramatize for you tonight that few citizens realized at the time that our officers were combating one of the far-flung tentacles of the Pretty Boy Floyd mob. Yet, as you will see, the criminal activities of that late hoodlum and bank robber extended from his midland hunting grounds all the way to the Pacific coast.
We want to see the boss.
Why, he's not in now.
Come on. Don't hand us that stuff. He's in all right, and you'll talk to us. Get out of the way, Mug.
Hello, boys. I was just thinking of you.
Yeah, I bet.
Won't you sit down?
We're only going to take a minute. And what we can say is we're going to say on our feet.
What's
the idea of sending back them 5 extra barrels of beer?
Boys, I can't possibly sell more than 10 barrels a day.
From now on, you're taking 15.
Well, I can't do it, boys.
And where's your protection money? You didn't kick in this week.
Well, I don't need to pay for protection. Boys, I get all the protection I need from the police.
Oh, yeah?
In that case, you better take 20 barrels a day.
I won't do it, boys. You'll ruin me.
You're taking 20 barrels a day.
I'll get my beer from somebody else first.
Is that final, Blackie?
Yes.
That's all we wanted to know.
Thus the racket. Prohibition's contribution to criminal history. Beginning with the $1 million bootleg business, it spread its tentacles to the trucking industry, the building trades, the cleaners and dyers. It strangled metropolitan America, made a travesty of American law and order, netted billions in illegal profits, created a modern robber baron, the big shot. Equipped with armored limousines, surrounded by vicious guardsmen, the big shots fought each other for supremacy.
Okay, Eddie, slow down. There's big Tom just coming out of that apartment house. Sammy, old fat. Let him have it. Okay, Eddie, get going.
Hey, Mike, you bumped off a kid.
Well, what's the difference? I rubbed out Big Tom, didn't I?
Thus did the vengeful bullets of gangland claim innocent victims. Outraged America clamors for action, but the local authorities are powerless. Then the federal government throws its forces into the battle. At the headquarters of the Secret Service in Washington.
You sent for me, Chief? Yeah. Got a job for you.
Yes, sir.
The federal government is going into the wholesale crook catching business. They're going to clean up the racket.
On what charges? There aren't any federal laws we can get them on excepting violation of the 18th Amendment. And the government can't appropriate enough funds to bolster up the local enforcement authority.
Now, wait a minute. That's all going to be changed. The president has promised to ask Congress for more stringent legislation on a number of charges. But there's one charge we can work on right now.
What's that?
Violation of the income tax law. These gangsters are making millions, and not a single one of them is paying income tax. Go out and build up a case against them. And the Attorney General will prosecute us to the limit.
Yes, sir.
Slowly, with painstaking care, the federal investigators build their cases. One after another, the big shots topple, change their notorious names for numbers, file into federal penitentiaries. An awakened citizenry votes prohibition into its legislative grave. Congress makes kidnapping a federal offense. One by one, the more lucrative crimes become difficult, more dangerous to commit. But in the underworld...
Yeah, looks like they'll force us guys to go straight.
Yeah?
Yeah, there ain't no more liquor racket, and don't want to swing for kidnapping, do you?
No, but before I'd go straight, I'd snatch purses.
Yeah, that's about all that's left after the second story work.
Well, you're forgetting the place where there's a big payoff.
Hey, what's that?
The bank. Get the door where it's kept.
Oh, that's one in the trash. You might get killed.
What of it? From now on, it's them or us. So Prohibition indirectly spawned the most daring breed of bank robbers in history. John Dillinger. Babyface Nelson. Pretty Boy Floyd. No cracksman bees, no snooping romantic midnight prowlers. Theirs is the direct method. Play center, Kansas.
Well, Mr. Potts, I think we'll be able to arrange that mortgage for you.
That's fine. If I can get my hands on that money, I'll be able to put in a new silo.
Take 'em up.
Yeah, merciful
This is
heavens.
all right. I'll make no passes, no burglar alarms, mister. I'll let you have it.
I wasn't.
You better not. I got men with Tommy guns all around the joint. I'll shove out all the dough you got in your till there.
But
Come on, let's have it.
all right.
Ain't much, but when you get what's in the safe...
The safe.
Sure, you left the back door open. One of my boys going through the safe now.
All we've got back there is bonds. They belong to our customers.
Now, what do we care? They're worth dough to us.
Well, I got all the work to get, Floyd.
Good. About how much?
Well, about $30,000.
That's fair enough. Now, listen, you two guys. My boys will be outside with their tomcats on the door. It won't be healthy for you to stick your noses out of this joint for 15 minutes.
few weeks later, in Sheldon, Missouri.
I'll get this, folks. No cause for alarm. You'll all be quiet. Close. If anyone gets out of line, I may have to wipe you out.
Hey, pretty boys, it's big lot.
Is it very big?
No, not very big.
Okay, get some of the boys and move it out.
What?
You heard me. We can't open their safe. We'll take it with us.
Thus, the modus operandi of the Pretty Boy Floyd mob, which swept across the Middle West during 1933 and 34. Small town banks were their prey, and what they failed to realize on ready cash was compensated by the ease and safety of holding up these insufficiently protected institutions, and the large amounts of gilt-edged securities which the safes contained. Securities representing the life savings of the merchants and farmers of these rural communities, left with the bank for safekeeping. But hot bonds are dangerous possessions. And so after a swing through Kansas and Missouri, which had shown vast paper profits, Pretty Boy Floyd packs his portfolio and visits a Mr. E.S. Wagoner in Oklahoma City.
Well, there you are, Elmer. 250 grand in bonds. Most of it the best paper in the world. It's Liberty bonds. How much will you give me for it?
$250,000. How much of it is in Liberty bonds?
About 230,000.
Well, that's all I'm interested in. I won't monkey with anything else.
Okay. How much will you give me for the Liberty bonds?
10 cents on the dollar.
What?
10 cents on the dollar.
But, Elmer, look here. That stuff's worth more than that. Why, lots of them never had the coupons clipped. Oh, I can't let them go for that.
And that's my price.
Why, that mean that I'd only get 23 grand out of them holdups. And I got to cut that stuff 5 ways.
Well, that's your problem, not mine.
Well, make it 25 cents on the dollar, and I'll let you have it.
Not a penny over 10 cents.
But listen.
No use arguing, pretty boy. Those bonds are hot. Why, they're harder to get rid of than marked money. I'd rather float 5 grand of that Limburg ransom money than monkey around with stolen Liberty bonds.
Why?
Why? Because those bonds aren't only numbered, but they have the subscriber's signature on them. Why, you have to commit forgery to get rid of them. Another thing, there isn't a town in 1,000 miles of here where I can unload them. Those banks you lifted them from have flooded the country with descriptions and numbers of the bonds.
Yeah. But you ain't going to take no 90% discount when you unload them. You make your profit.
Sure I will.
How much?
That's my business.
Well, I think I ought to get more than 10% for them.
Maybe you think so. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not paying more. Maybe you can do better with the corn boys.
They'll only pay 5.
I thought you'd been shopping around. Well, you get a break then. I'll pay 10%, and I'll handle all the stuff you get at that figure.
Well, I suppose it's the best I can do.
Sure it is. And it's your own fault, too. You guys that are so anxious to make a name for yourself. You're dangerous gentlemen to do business with. If you didn't make so much fuss when you knocked over a bank, and if you didn't get your pictures in all the papers, well, I might be able to make you a better price.
Well, I'm going to get smart. I'll pull my next job at night.
Oh, no, you won't. You're more interested in your reputation as a professional bad man than you are in a payoff. You can't have both.
I don't like your lip, Elmer. If you ain't careful, I'll put you on the spot.
And sell out to the Cohen boys at 5%? Oh, no. You're not going to touch me, and you know it.
Okay. The deal is 10%, but I think it's robbery.
Robbery? You're a fine one to talk about robbery.
3 months passed, and then one August day in 1933, Elmer Wagoner arrives in Los Angeles, registers at a downtown hotel as E.J. Spaulding, meets 2 friends at a speakeasy on Hill Street.
You gentlemen know this town. You make the contact. I have the bond.
How much did you bring with you?
It's
50 grand.
What's our cut?
I'll give each of you 10%.
Not enough. What do you think we are?
Well, boys, I had to pay 25% for them.
You're probably lying. Even if you did, you can afford more than 10%.
Well, I don't really see how I can. I'm running an awful risk.
Yeah, how about us? We ain't going to run into no federal beef for buttons.
Well, boys, now, we don't want to argue about the thing. Maybe we can make a deal. What do you think is fair?
25%.
Split between you?
No, a piece.
Oh, come on, boys. I don't make anything that way.
Not much you don't.
Now, look here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll meet you halfway. Now, you know that your figure is a little too high. And you know that my figure is, well, maybe a trifle low. How about 15% apiece?
Well, that's fair enough. Okay.
It's a deal, then. Now, where do we start?
Well, I know a guy at a jeweler store. I got contacts with several banks. Good afternoon, Mr. Hastings.
Why, hello, Mr. Whaler.
How's the banking business these days?
Well, we're managing to stay open.
I guess that's something, eh?
It surely is, the way things are.
Mr. Hastings, I want you to meet a good friend of mine, Mr. Frank Gerard.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Gerard? I'm glad to know you.
Mr. Gerard has some Liberty bonds, and he needs some ready cash for a little business venture. I thought possibly you could make him a short-term loan on his bonds.
I think that could be arranged. How much do you want to borrow, Mr. Gerard? Well, I'd like to get as near the face value as I can. And how many bonds have you? $14,000. I see. Well, we could lend you $13,000 on that. That will be fine. For how long did you want the loan? Make it 60 days. Very well. You'll just step over this way. We'll make out the necessary things.
Thus, forging the signatures of the owners of the bonds, Wagner unloads thousands of dollars worth of securities. But he does not reckon on the thoroughness with which Liberty bond transfers are checked. For within a few days, Chief of Police Steckel of the Los Angeles Police Department receives a message which causes him to summon Lieutenant Lefty James, head of the gangster detail, into his office.
Lefty, some of those bonds stolen by Pretty Boy Floyd last spring are turning up here in town.
Yeah?
Yes. Downtown Bank made a loan last week to a man who posed as the owner of $14,000 worth of Liberty bonds. When the bank investigated the bond numbers, they found that the bonds he'd stolen from the Wyndham State Bank in Wyndham, Kansas, and that the rightful owner had never received them back. Now, I want you to go out and get the man that's unloading those bonds.
Yes, sir. Any angles on it?
Yes, the man that introduced to the bank was Mr. E.E. Whaler.
Oh, you mean that criminal lawyer?
That's the man. Now, I suggest that you shadow him until you get a line on his companion.
Yes, sir. I'll get on it right away.
For 2 days, Lefty James shadows Whaler, watches him meet with Cole and Wagner. Cole, he knows, is a former member of the Hastings gang in Kansas City, a man who has done time for forgery. With Wagner, he is not acquainted. Focusing his attention on Wagner, the unknown quantity, he explains his mission to the manager of Wagner's hotel, obtains permission to tap the wires to the fence's room, sits patiently hour after hour with earphones clamped to his head until...
Oh, hello, Steve.
Steve sent me up to relieve you so you could grab a bite of dinner.
Well,
Heard anything?
nothing important in 2 days.
Well, that's the way it goes. You never know.
Quiet. There's a call now.
Hello?
Hello, Elmer. This is Elgin Cole.
Yes, Elgin.
I got a lead on a customer for some of those bonds.
Yes. Who?
Fellow owns a jewelry store over on Olive Street. Name's Nussbaum.
Good. How much would it go for?
Oh, $3-4 grand.
Fine. I'll get you down this place in about 15 minutes.
And bring those bonds with you.
Don't worry. I will.
Well, it sounds like business.
What's that, Lefty?
We're going to try to unload some stuff on old man Nussbaum, the jeweler. Old man Nussbaum's a friend of mine. Give me that phone, will you?
Here you are.
Hello?
Let me talk to Mr. Nussbaum, please.
Just a moment, please.
What a break this is, Steve.
Hello?
Hello, this is Lefty James, Mr. Nussbaum.
Yeah, Lefty. How are you?
Fine. Hey, Mr. Nussbaum, do you know a fellow by the name of Elgin Cole?
Yeah. I fixed his watch for him a couple of times.
I see. Well, he's coming in to sell you some bonds in about half an hour.
Tell me some bonds.
Yeah.
But I don't want any bonds.
Maybe not, but you're going to act like you did.
What are you talking about?
Just this. I want you to do me a favor.
I'll be glad to do anything I can, Lefty.
Okay, now when this guy brings these bonds in, stall them along and keep the bonds. Tell him you have to ask your wife about them or something.
Oh, what's it all about?
You got to look at the bonds, that's all. I'll be right in after he leaves. Well, slip up on this, will you?
Oh, I'll do my best, Lefty.
Okay, and thanks. All right, Steve. Hold on the stake here. I got a little checking up to do. Well, Mr. Nussbaum, did you get the bonds?
Did I get the bonds? Yeah, I did, and for the job of that, I had to tell 101 lies.
Yeah. Where are the bonds?
Right here. But you better not take too much time with him because he said he was coming back in half an hour.
I only need 5 minutes. Let's see. Serial number 618. So 9, 10, 11, and 12. Issued to Gus Nixon. That's all I need, Mr. Nussbaum.
But tell me, Lefty, what is it all about?
These are stolen bonds. Taken in bank robberies in the Mideast.
Stolen bonds? What do I do when he comes back? Maybe he'll bump me off.
No, I don't think so. Tell him you decided not to buy them.
But he might decide to take me for the ride.
Just to be sure there's no rust off, I'll post one of the boys outside.
Well, I'll feel better that way.
Okay. I'll take care of it. And I want to thank you for your help.
Glad to help you any time, Lefty. Only next time, don't let it be mixed up with gangsters.
Okay, Mr. Nussbaum.
James checks the serial numbers on the bonds with the Treasury Department in Washington. Quickly, he receives a reply.
Well, Chief, I'm on the right track.
Well, how's that?
Washington reports that the serial numbers of those bonds this fellow Spaulding was trying to sell were stolen from the Osho, Kansas State Bank.
Great work. When are you going to arrest him?
As soon as I find out how much of the stuff he's got with him.
Yeah, that's right. We want to reclaim as much of the property as we can.
Yes, sir. I'm going to stick on that tap wire, and as soon as I get a chance, I'm going through that bird's room. Gotta work fast, Steve. Tell Husser and this gal will be back. The desk will tip you off when he's coming up, won't they? Yeah, but that might be any minute. You go through his suitcase, and I'll go through the drawers in his dresser. Well, this is a nice, shiny automatic. Papers, letters addressed to Elmer S. Wagner in Oklahoma City. Apparently, Spaulding isn't our boyfriend's name. Elmer S. Wagner. Make a note of that. Find anything, Steve?
Did I? Look here.
Briefcase, huh?
Lucky it's unlocked, and there are $3,000 bonds in it.
Fine, we got all we need.
When are you going to knock them over?
I'm not. Hey, what you taking that briefcase for?
Why, we'll need that as evidence.
Oh, no, we won't. Put it back where you found it.
Well, what's the idea, Lefty?
Simple. Better give our Mr. Wagner enough rope.
I don't get you at all, Lefty. Letting that guy go?
I'm not letting him go, Steve. As good as he to us, with only $3,000 worth of stolen bonds on him. If we pinched him now, we'd never locate the rest of the stuff.
Oh, I'm beginning to get it.
Wait a minute. There's a call coming in.
Hello, Wagner. I just told him to say goodbye. When are you leaving? On the 8 o'clock plane tonight. Be back soon? Yes, in about 2 weeks. Bringing some stuff back with you? Sure thing. How much? $200,000. I'll have the customers for you. All right, Whaler. See you later. So long, Elmer.
Well, Steve, there you are.
What's that?
Mr. Spaulding, alias Wagner, leaves tonight for Oklahoma City on the 8 o'clock plane. He's back in 2 weeks with $200,000 worth of stolen bonds. Better than arresting him with $3,000 on him, isn't it?
I'll say.
Now, look, Steve, I'm going to stay on this wire till he checks out. There's some things I want you to do.
Yeah, what's that, Lefty?
First, see that the cab that takes Mr. Wagner to the airport is driven by a copper disguised as a cab driver. And tell him not to let Wagner out of sight till he takes off. Then have him report to me at headquarters.
Right.
Wire the Oklahoma City authorities. Tell them to shadow Wagner from the moment he lands and tip us off when he leaves for Los Angeles again. Okay?
Okay.
So quite without knowing it, Elmer Wagner leaves Los Angeles with a police escort. Every move he makes is reported to Lefty James by the Oklahoma City authorities. Finally, on August 5th, James receives a long-distance call.
Hey, Lefty, Oklahoma City calling you.
Well, hope it's good news. Hello.
Hello, Lieutenant James.
Yeah.
This is Moffett in Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah, Moffett. What do you got for me?
Your man Wagner just left Oklahoma City by plane for Los Angeles.
Great, great.
He's carrying a black bag with red trim.
Okay. When's that plane get in here?
Arrives at 4:35, I believe.
Thanks a lot, Moffett. I want to congratulate you boys over there and the way you've helped us.
Not at all. Glad to do it.
Okay, old man. So I can return the favor sometime. Goodbye.
Right.
Go on, Steve. We got a date at the airport. Hey, is that the plane from Oklahoma City coming in?
It sure is.
Okay, Steve. Keep your eye peeled for a black bag with a red trim.
Right.
The guy that carries it'll be Wagner. You all set?
All set.
Hey, they're rolling the steps up now.
The door's opening.
Yeah, there he is. First one out. He must be in a hurry. Come on, Steve. Just a minute there, friend.
Was you speaking to me?
Yeah. I have a little talk with you.
I'm in a big hurry.
Not that big a hurry. You're under arrest.
What?
Snap the bracelets on him, Steve.
Say, what is all this about?
Charges of receiving stolen property.
I don't know anything about this.
You come along quietly?
Very well, but I had to clear myself. This is ridiculous. I never heard of such a thing.
All right, all right. Well, Mr. Wagner, now that you've had some time to think it over, what have you to say?
Nothing. I'm innocent, that's all.
About the $91,000 worth of bonds in your suitcase.
Oh, those. Well, I can explain those.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Well, they belong to a friend of mine. He asked me to bring them to Los Angeles for him.
They're stolen bonds.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. How do you explain that?
Well, as a matter of fact, I knew that they were stolen, but my friend gave them to me.
What was your friend's name?
Well, I just knew him by the name of Babe.
Listen, Wagner, stop lying. They know all about you. Been on your trail for weeks. You got both of your accomplices, Elgin Cole and E.E. Whaler, in jail right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Dumb me up if you want to. Let me tell you this. You've got a case against you can't beat. They're placing you under $100,000 bail. They're going to hold you right here till they put you away for good. There you are. Take it or leave it. The case is so good we don't even need a statement from you. You're in a spot. You're going to the pen. No amount of lying can save you.
And Elmer Wagner did go to the penitentiary, along with his pals, Elgin Cole and E.E. Whaler. All three of them are serving terms of from 22 to 32 years in McNeil's Island. Thus did Los Angeles help in the downfall of the Pretty Boy Floyd mob. The final chapter in the activities of this infamous gang of hoodlums was written only a few months ago when Pretty Boy Floyd himself died from a bullet inflicted by a dying officer who had fallen before one of his murderous bullets.
Thank you, Captain Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, truth is stranger than fiction. Every broadcast of Calling All Cars tells a true experience from the lives of the police who use Rio Grande cracked gasoline in their daily work. And Rio Grande's advertising is true, too, for we can prove any claims made for cracked gasoline. It is absolutely true that only in Rio Grande gasoline can you get all the benefits of the patented Sinclair cracking process, the very last word in petroleum refining. It costs you no more. Try it tomorrow.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars. The cancellation of broadcast number 81 regarding a hot bond mob operating in Los Angeles. This gang is now in custody. That is all. Berg.
For a description of next week's broadcast, read the Calling All Cars news. Get your copy free from any Rio Grande service station. Narrator Charles Frederick Lindsley, bidding you